everybody, and welcome back to MJ Games. I am Michael, and today we're looking at a Worlds Apart created on the PS5 by There's Only One Rob. And I'm really excited today as I have a special guest stepping over into the Planet Coaster realm as I have Derek from Elite Coasters, who is just an amazing No Limits 2 creator. So Derek, how are you doing?
Good. I'm excited to do this. How are you doing today?
Doing good, and yeah, I'm really excited that you wanted to look at this tour with me because I really respect and like getting your insight on coasters and stuff. So I'm really excited for you to join. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Looking at Planet Coaster Parks is really the thing that got me interested in roller coasters in the start, so it's just kind of cool to be doing stuff like this.
Oh, yeah, for sure, dude. It's honestly same with me. I kind of got out of coasters for a little bit, and then this game came out, and now I'm like all I can think about is roller coasters. I feel like so
Yep. Like
it's great.
laying in bed at night before you go to sleep, thinking of like new designs and stuff. I'm like, what should I do for this like park or whatever? It's just like
Yeah,
always on your mind.
yeah, for sure. Like my wife goes to sleep right away, and I'm like can't fall asleep, and she's like, "You just think about all this stuff." I'm like, "Yeah, that's how my brain works." But
Yeah.
yeah, quick description as before we get started with the tour. This is called a Worlds Apart, and it's a Florida-based thrill park. Features 5 coasters. And a river raft adventure and multiple entertainment, food, and beverage spots. This is this creator's first completed park, and he's drawn inspiration from many parks and even Nashville. Okay. So he says, "Thank you, MJ Games, Iron Maddie, for your spotlights. Your channels have made my Planet Coaster building ability so much better. Thank you to the creators that have creations in this park, as I've recognized everyone." And so right away, you can kind of see the entrance area, which I love. Like, as we get better at this game, just implementing more of that realism aspect to it of having the parking lots and stuff like that. So, what are your kind of initial thoughts as we begin the tour?
Oh, this looks awesome. Yeah, I know a lot of people do the parking lot, but I think this one just looks really good. I haven't seen the
Yeah,
one with like cones lining the road before. I mean, it's
yeah.
interesting.
It's true. It's funny because you might look at that and think, "Oh, it looks a little bit out of place." But I mean, from going to theme parks too, like that's actually how it is. You
True.
kind of everybody floods through, and then you kind of go into 3 or 4 different lanes. But this is just really, really good detail here at the beginning. So I really like
Yeah,
kind
really
of these.
realistic.
Yeah, this wall kind of sectioning off a little backstage area and using the topiary bushes, which I probably mispronounced that. I love this parking lot right away.
Yeah, I just love the view, like pulling up to the park and like you see the coasters in the distance. Like I'm Cedar Point's my home park, so I always like
Oh,
have that
awesome.
thought of like when you're driving along the road and you see like the lakes on your left and you just see everything in the distance and you're just like, oh man, this is gonna be an awesome day. It's just
Yeah.
one of the best feelings.
Yeah, and then you pull into Cedar Point, and you're just like, all you can see is just steel in the
Right,
skylines.
it's
It's just
just everywhere, and so that's awesome.
crazy. So what's amazing about this parking lot is I'm currently starting to work on a new park, and my goal with my new park was I wanted to have like the best parking lot on console. And then I saw this park, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to beat this. So this is an amazing job, and there's some giving credit to the creators who use some of their blueprints and stuff like that, but just absolutely love it. So, what are your kind of anything else stand out to you as we kind of walk through the main entrance for the guest?
I just think this looks really realistic. I just really like the it looks great. The cars, those are in the studios pack, right?
Yes, yeah, they came with the studios pack. I wish
Yeah,
there was a
that's
little bit more detail with them, but it's really basically just like one type of car that's changed up.
right. But I
um,
mean, it gives it that cool look. Like it makes it look like empty parking lots would look kind of like silly, but so it gives it a look of realism.
yeah, for sure. And then here is where, so that's where the cars would exit, but then on the left side is where you have staff and like drop offs. And so this is kind of like a staff building right there, kind of like what would be their main office. And we'll take a look at it more near the end. But I love that he's got his own like entertainment company that he created for this. Gotta love it.
Oh man, there's just so much detail going into these like areas that you wouldn't normally think of when like designing a park, or at least I wouldn't, because I'm like very new to Planet Coaster. But there's just a lot of yeah, like look at this. It's just
Yeah,
so much
that's tough
detail
to
put
do.
into that.
For sure. And so this little warehouse thing to the left right there was one of my creations. I made a while back, and it's one of those that I like it still, so I'll still use it in my newer parks. Because I'm like, hey, why remake something when you like how it looks, right?
There you go. Yeah.
So it's really cool to open up a park and then see some of your creations in it. As I'm doing a terrible job with the camera here, but look at that design on the
Ooh, like
floor. That is just
like
awesome.
compass design. That is awesome. Yeah, look at that.
Mhm. Then you got a nice entryway, so we got a security office, and just like you said, all the realism here is just amazing.
Yeah,
Just yeah. It kind of gives me. I've never been here. I've just seen pictures. It kind of gives me a little Hershey Park vibe. Kind of the
yeah.
colors and the
Now that I
glass
think of it,
windows.
that's a. I mean, I haven't been there either, but like from what I've seen, this does look a bit similar to that.
Is it's almost got like that you know how Hershey Park's like right next to like a high school, right? So it's kind of almost got that like high
Oh,
school
really?
feel of
I
I
didn't even
think
know
there's a high
that.
school near there. Could be wrong about that, but that's what I think. But this entryway, I mean, then you kind of see this water and just look out and beautiful
Oh
views.
yeah, that's cool. Yeah, you can see the one right across from the water, the coaster over there.
hmm Yeah, and I mean, I know you know from starting to play Planet Coaster some, it's just the amount of work you got to put in to do all the little details is just
Oh man,
insane.
yeah, this must take forever. I can't imagine having the motivation to just sit down and do that. That's amazing.
Yeah, it takes time. But I think what I love there with the detail that people might not be picking up right there, and I don't know if we get another good view of it, but the that kind of column that he used right there, he actually used two of the caps instead of just one of them, I believe. So it gives it kind of a cooler, um,
Oh, the thing along the water?
yeah, just kind of like the top of that pillar kind of gives it a
Yeah, I see that.
cool look. So we got a little, looks like a little candy shop here, um, and
Or Hershey Park inspiration there.
yeah, and so this is called BJ's Brewery and Rooftop Bar. I wonder, have you been to a BJ's Brewery before? Any chance?
No.
So they've got a lot of them I've realized around the country, but they're like outside of malls, and their food
Hmm.
is so good. Like their burgers and pizza, everything's good. So I wonder if this was kind of like inspiration from that because it is like a brewery that has like 50 craft beers or something crazy. It's a really cool restaurant. Then we got a
Yes.
rooftop bar.
Oh man, they got so much detail into that. Like, yeah, got like the TV screens up there.
hmm Yeah, that's one thing I wish on console that we could do is import our own images. Like I feel like that wouldn't have been that
Yeah.
difficult because it'd be cool, like have your own like PDF image that you've created of like a menu or something, and then import that. But really, really cool. So we got another little backstage area here.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this with No Limits 2, because I've seen a lot of videos and that's something I want to try at some point whenever I have a PC that really allows it. I know
Hmm.
it's not as heavy as like Planet Coaster 2 is, but is there,
No,
I mean, you
it's
have
not
the,
really that heavy
yeah,
on
I
your
mean, you
PC.
have the ability to like create a full park, right? Like with scenery and everything, or is it more just around the coasters?
Well, I mean, the scenery that comes with the game is pretty limited. Um, Really, when you see people make a ton of really detailed stuff like parks, like a lot of that is 3D modeled and then imported. But
Oh, okay.
my computer is literally a potato, so I can't really do any of that stuff. So that's why most of the stuff that I make is like just single coasters with a bit of like generic trees and whatever. So I really focus on like making the layout good instead of the scenery because I can't really do much in that department.
Yeah, for sure. And how long did it take you? Because I did pull up the demo one time, and I just sat there for like 20 minutes, and I was like, dude, this is confusing. It's like, how long did it take you to get used to like the coaster building aspect of it?
Well, let's see. I started like very beginning of 2020, and I don't know. It wasn't really like a specific amount of time. It's just like you keep getting more used to it as you go on.
Right.
It's really a learning curve. Like there's some good tutorials out there made by like the developers of the game have a few tutorials out there that are pretty good. But I might come up with one at some point. That's what I'm thinking
Yeah.
of. After my next video, I'll do some like tutorial for FVD, which is the program I use to design my layouts.
Okay. Well, that's awesome. Which, by the way, this viewpoint of this dive coaster is just stunning. Um, love having that little track piece right there as kind of scenery.
Yeah,
Just
that's cool. Kind of like doesn't the Hulk have that at Islands Adventure? Like or did
It's
it used
been
to?
it's
I don't
been
remember.
years since I've been there, so I can't say on that one.
I'm just thinking of some picture I saw a while ago of like a track piece used as like the front entrance sign or something like that. But yeah, it's a cool touch there.
Yeah, and so we're going to look at the stats real quickly. So it's a 132-foot drop. G-forces look pretty good, and 3 inversions. So we'll talk to you after the coaster. All right, Derek. So that was the dive coaster called, I think it was Florida's Cliffhanger. So what were your thoughts on that coaster?
Oh, very, very solid. I would say. I think you nailed on this one. Very, very realistic. Good short layout for a dive coaster. All the elements are like exactly what B&M would do, and but it's a bit unique with that like barrel roll corkscrew
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing, low to the ground, and then a few like overbank turns, stuff you don't normally see on dive coasters, but it's like plausible for something that B&M could do. So I think this is really well done.
Yeah, I think it's great, and I think one thing you can probably agree on a little bit, if we were to give like one suggestion, is if you look at that Immelman right there, you can tell it's custom made because first of all it was
Mhm.
smooth, but the shaping is it almost like flattens a little bit at the top. Um,
Yeah, you might want the descent on the Immelman to be slightly a bit steeper, maybe around like I don't know, 45 degrees, just so it's like coming out at a bit more of an angle, but like yeah, that's
but
just what I
no,
would say.
yeah, but I mean it's amazing, amazing, really good job on that coaster. Love the flooring there in the station using those wooden pieces, and then obviously I love seeing transfer tracks. Love seeing them. So great job there. And then we've got a little photo booth, and using those kind of
Yeah, that's cool.
those little wooden pieces almost look like an old school like cash machine. Um,
Yeah.
so it's cool seeing ways that people come up with stuff of like, hey, how can we do this if we don't have like TMTK like PC has, where they can import stuff. Um, but then
Yeah, you got to get creative with it.
For sure. And I love the use of the fencing there. You got the little fence, and then you got the chain link fence on top, and then you go through the station here. So I think this is a really well done queue.
Yeah, this looks very, very nice, very, pretty realistic too.
Hmm. And so this looks like an SLC.
Maybe like a modern, more modern Vekoma. I'm looking at that track there.
So it's called
Yeah.
Wildfire. So it's 95-foot drop. It's not that fast of a coaster, but we'll talk to you afterwards. All right, Derek. So we just got off of Wildfire, and what are your thoughts on that? Like you said, you believe it's probably a newer Vekoma style. So what's your thoughts on that small family coaster?
Yeah, it looks really nice. Definitely see the Dragonflyer inspiration, especially with the color scheme. It could maybe be a bit longer, like in that final section where you have
Hmm.
the final turn. You could put maybe a like helix or something like that. But overall, smooth, well done, realistic.
Yeah,
I
and
like it.
there's plenty of space to do that too, kind of back in that spot. And I love this. Like, there's so many of these little things in this park of Um, like where you'd have a concert, right? You've even got the
Yeah,
fence
it's
up
like a
there.
stage. That's so cool.
You've even got like the
Ooh, and you got the
if you
lights
saw,
there too.
yeah, amazing. I don't know if you noticed in front. I hope we get to see it again, but there was like fencing in front, almost where you'd have like the security guards on the other side, just like standing there, making sure nobody goes up on stage. Um,
I
and
didn't
just
see
for
that. That's cool.
really, really cool with that level of detail. But yeah, I mean, I like both those coasters so far, and I think they've been really well done.
Yeah, they're smooth, realistic, very good so far. I like it.
So while we're heading to the next part, what's your favorite type of coaster to ride in real life, and then what's your favorite type to build in the game? No limits.
No limits. Favorite type to ride in real life? I mean, I don't. I've ridden like 30 coasters, which is like nothing compared to most U.S. enthusiasts. So I've been like Cedar Point, Kings Island, Silver Dollar City. That's pretty much it. But out of that, I mean, Steel Vengeance. I just love the feel and style of the RMC coaster, and that's just really fun to design. So definitely that, and I like
Yeah.
designing modern and blitz coasters too.
Okay.
Those are also a lot of fun. As
Yeah.
you can see from like, I feel like 75% of my No Limits 2 coasters have been either one of those, like an RMC or a Modern Blitz. I haven't really ventured out that much, but yeah,
Yeah.
those are just fun.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like RMCs, at least in Planet Coaster, are some of the easiest to make and smooth. At least if you understand at least some of the general concepts of how their hills are supposed to be, and just it overbanks a lot and has a lot of
Mm.
pretty quick airtime hills. And here's another example of being really cool to look through this park and see inspiration, because a lot of this station is very similar to one on my latest park, and so it's really cool to see
Mm.
creations that are made that other people think it's good enough to they want to either use it or use it to inspire their build, and so that's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, I mean, and No Limits 2 coasters, I mean, you see stuff that other people do, and you're like, wow, that's cool, I could do something like that, and it's just kind of these
hmm
little inspirations you take from different people that help you, like, kind of figure out what you're doing.
And I love that little roof. It gives off really cool lighting. How you
Yeah,
got like the
that's
piece
really
of
cool.
wood in between the other two pieces of wood. So it's cool. But yeah, we'll just talk throughout this river rapids, since it's a river rapids. So
Hmm.
um, and
Don't really need to give a layout analysis on a river rapids ride.
now maybe unless if they try to make it with big drops, but that's not the safest. So um, the scenery is great though, and I love that little
Yeah.
trigger effect of the water kind of.
Yeah, the waterfall too over there on the right. That looks really cool.
hmm And I just now noticed this, that like that water is coming to the side. I wish I would turn the camera the other way, because I think it's meant to look like Gaster over there spraying riders with water. Um,
Oh, that's
yeah,
cool.
for sure. But yeah, this is really well done with the scenery. It's one area that I feel like I'm trying to get better in the game is doing stuff and doing scenery, because that part to me can be the tedious part.
Yeah, I need to like. I mean, I'm observing the how people are building their stations and stuff because I haven't even built like a good one in Planet Coaster yet. So just seeing what other people do and getting some ideas.
Yeah, for sure. This is well done, and what I love about it is they've created this kind of trough around I think that's the way you'd say it, around the entire rapids. So using like those are temple
Yeah,
blocks. Those are great
that
to
and the
use.
rocks and stuff
Yeah,
from before. But yeah, now I can see what you're talking about.
and the temple rocks are great, or the temple blocks are great because they're not on a grid, so you can free move it
Right.
without having to split it from building. But then it's better than the windows because it kind of gives the same design of like maybe the back of a window, but yet it doesn't have. It's bigger, so you don't have to use as many. Since obviously playing on console, we have a limit to piece count. So
Right, which is kind of annoying. But
yeah, sure. But look at the views right there. Just really, really cool.
yeah. When I first started on Planet Coaster console, the grid stuff with the scenery really threw me off. I'm like, why can't I not just move these how I want to?
Yeah,
But,
yeah. Yeah, it's really, really tedious.
yeah. But I like how it goes to the waterfall there. That's kind of a cool.
Yeah, definitely a cool touch. And then I like once again how the path it goes underneath the path, kind of getting back up
Yeah.
to the station. I think is really cool.
I really like the interaction on this one because I feel like a few others that I've seen with like River Rapids ride, I feel like there's not as much like of the water like spraying the riders that's on the ride, but this I've seen a ton of that. Like it goes under the like waterfall a little bit back there, and things spraying the riders from every direction. So that's just kind of a cool touch.
All right, so we just got done with the River Rapids, and now looking at this wooden coaster and this whole area. I mean, just how it's been designed is just really, really cool. So it's called Twisted Timbers, it looks like. So it looks like definitely got some inspiration from potentially Mystic Timbers, or maybe even Twisted Timbers as well, even though it's probably a more GCI wooden coaster. But I'm just loving the views in this park.
Yeah, the views from just like you look every direction, there's just some massive coaster over there. It's just a cool view. I really like that.
And like that, this path for the queue, so much interaction with the coaster, which is great. And then kind of doubling up that fencing there is a really cool touch to, in theory, protect the guests from debris or anything that could be flying from the coaster potentially.
Right, I was gonna make a comment about that. Of they have like the "Do Not Enter" signs, just a touch of realism there. That's just kind of cool.
And
Let's see, we got the GCI trains here, so.
And look at the quick stats: 114 feet. G-forces look good. And if I scroll
Yeah,
down,
solid G-forces.
a couple airtime hills. So we'll talk to you after the coaster. So that was Twisted Timbers, and I mean that was another fairly short ride, but I think it was a lot of fun. So what are your thoughts on that coaster?
Yeah, I like the interaction with the path, how it like dives under the path after that first drop. Makes me think of the one wooden coaster is that in Brazil? I forget. It's an RCCA thing, but
Okay.
it like dives under the path and goes back up. But yeah, it was like felt like a combination of a GCI and a gravity group with that like straight first drop, and it kind of felt like a gravity group with GCI trains. That was kind of cool.
For sure. Yeah, and so I kind of found myself at this point realizing, oh, we haven't seen this part of the park yet. So these buildings and you get information building, and one thing that I do like is like he took a building color that's kind of in general not an easy color to build a lot of different buildings with, but he kept that same style throughout the park, but yet every building does look different and it doesn't look like it's overused, so that's impressive.
Yeah, that's a good observation.
And I love this little planter. It's really
that's
good job.
Cool. Once again, we have the view of the lake in the middle. You can just see the coasters over there. That's just cool.
And so I don't know if you know that you can do this yet, but here I click on a guest, and if you type in Plipcam for the name, it actually takes you into first person view where you can like zoom in, and you can see the quality of the video. For some reason, this is obviously better, but it's like guest view, and so it's really kind of cool to see.
Yeah, it is cool.
Kind of
you can see the wooden coaster from the bridge. That's an awesome view. I really like that.
Yeah, and so like right here when it dives under the bridge is just, just perfect.
Yeah, what this park does really well is the guest interaction, like the coasters and the water ride we saw back there. Like the interaction with the paths is just really cool.
Yeah, and then that dive coaster. I mean, I feel like since this is supposed to be a Florida park, you can't help but think like Sheikra, right? Even though it's not the same height, not the same layout, or even color. But it's like that's just one that looks like such a imposing dive coaster to me. Right. You see photos of it and stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Then another transfer
track area here.
Now, one thing I would say for future is, when you're going to have a transfer track, you got to give it space to actually have the track be able to transfer over. Or if it's one of those sliding ones, there has to be enough space in theory for a third track to where it's going to slide, right? And so I think that just comes with the learning about more about transfer tracks or like making more of them, you kind of realize more realism aspects that you can make with them and stuff.
Yeah, really once you get used to things like this, you just kind of realize like, oh, I could do that, and it would look more realistic. And yeah, so we're just looking at this view from the B&M Hyper. You can see that. That looks really awesome.
It's called
Distance.
Cyperion. And then I just love these buildings here. This is like a little dock area, but it's just the design of this is just amazing. And you got a little pavilion right there.
Yeah, that's cool. And the lights on the top of that. Almost kind of looks like
Yes.
a massive gazebo a little bit.
Yeah, that's actually I don't know if he used part of the gazebo or kind of used video I made to use that, but that's like similar to gazebo I had in my latest park, and so it's cool once again to see like inspiration and stuff.
Uh-huh.
Here, like that was kind of cool to see because there's not actually a path there, so it was using the couldn't tell what pieces those were, but what looked like chairs, and then placing animatronics sitting in them to make it look like guests were sitting there. So that's just a really cool touch.
hmm Yeah, another thing I'm noticing, the RMC over there, I see the lift hill structure is very, very well done. That looks really realistic.
Yes, for
Given
sure.
like Iron Gwazi vibes. I guess it is a Florida park, so it
Yeah,
makes sense.
for sure. And so now here's the kind of overhead view, and like that is so well done.
Yeah, that is great. Wow.
Yeah, just the changing of that elevation and everything, and that's to me that's probably my favorite area of the park, just because you don't see people create stuff like that too much in the game. Like it's very unique. It's really cool to see.
Yeah, it's like the little subtle changes in elevation that's just really cool with a park. Like uh pretty what's the word? A good
Hmm.
example of this is Peak Park by Corvus, who
Yep.
like there's tons of like ramps and stuff throughout that whole park, and it's just like there's so many changes in elevation. That's just a really cool aspect of that design.
Yeah, for sure. That's actually a park I'm gonna be recording soon. Yeah, that's a great park made by Corvus. So, and I believe I did say in the beginning, but make sure to go check out Eric's coaster channel. So, Elite Coasters. The link is below. As I said, just amazing job with No Limits 2. But we look here at the B&M Hyper, and we'll chat with you guys after the coaster. All right, so that was the Hyper Coaster, and I know you said going down that first hill when we were just chatting, like that is a really good profiling for that first drop. So what are your thoughts overall on this coaster?
Yeah, I was gonna say that first drop looked really good, especially from like the path and you're looking up at it. It's just like, wow, that looks really realistic.
Mhm.
I like the unique Outer Bank Teartime Hill. I guess we haven't seen B&M do one of those yet, but like it could be possible in the future, maybe. But yeah, I just
Yep.
really like this. A lot of airtime, a lot of very smooth, a lot of speed. So great job on this one.
I agree. And what I like too is all the maintenance stuff for this park has been thought through because every coaster has a road going to it. It's got an ability to get to whether it's the transfer track or warehouses, whatever it may be. And so that's just a really good job of kind of that thought and that design. Then now, as we're here in the gift shop area, so it looks great. Look at that. You got a little Pepsi logo on the
Yeah, the
ground.
Pepsi logo there.
No, I think we all agree Coke's better. Or do you disagree?
I don't know. Coke kind of makes my head hurt, so I have my sometimes I go with Pepsi, but like either of them, I'm more of a root beer guy. So
I gotcha. Yeah, actually, I'm I don't have too many sodas. I was able to cut those out about. I don't really only have it like theme parks when it's like really thirsty and need something, or if
Hmm.
it's like free on an airplane or a casino or something. Um,
Sure.
but look at that view of that RMC. Like that's
Yeah.
just amazing.
Yeah, I've always loved the see-through lift structure that RMC does. I always thought that was so awesome looking.
Yeah. Like, it just amazes me, which I love these kind of little bathrooms right here. Just kind of having the little divider, I think is a really really cool touch.
Realistic too. I mean, I've seen that at
Mhm.
a theme park before.
And I think it just seeing those RMCs like that in real life. I've only ridden one that's got that, and it was Goliath at Six Flags Great America. But it's like you walk up to it, and you're just like, kind of like with the new B&M Gigas, how it's only got like three massive supports the whole way, and you're
Uh-huh.
just like, how in the world did they engineer this to just to figure out that hey, this is strong enough to withhold the structure and all
Right.
the
I mean,
vibrations and everything. It's crazy.
yeah, last year when I was at a Kings Island looking up at a Orion standing in that plaza, I'm like, why in the world does this look so massive? Like the structure is just, I don't know, it just makes it look bigger because of the minimal supports.
Yeah, it's insane, and I love this station. I like how there's like a queue portion of the station before you actually get to the main loading and unloading part. So I think that's pretty well done.
That's cool. Doesn't like the Beast at Kings Island do that? I feel like it has something like that.
It's got a little bit, yeah. If it's on a busy day, it will.
It was just like something in the station there.
Yeah, it's a
This is
pretty
called
wide
Iron
station.
Timbers. So we got
Yeah.
Twisted Timbers and Iron Timbers here.
There we go. And so let's take a ride on the RMC, and we'll chat with you after. All right, so Derek, this is your expertise, the coasters that you build more on your channel along with the Blitz. So, what's your thought here on the RMC?
Yeah, I thought the lift structure and the drop look really awesome. For the layout, I would say it could be a bit more fast-paced, like the elements were a bit too drawn out, and like the corkscrew there in the middle is not really something the RMC would do. But I mean, the like outer bank over the lift hill, like kind of give me like Zadra inspiration there.
hmm And by the way,
That
what
was
I'm
a
doing,
cool element.
sorry to cut you off. All I was saying I'm doing right here is kind of clicking on a piece. I was trying to move it, but since we're over the limit, we couldn't. But I was just trying to
Oh,
show everybody
right.
what piece essentially was used. And so it's just these scaffolding pieces that are given in game. So I mean that took maybe 200, 300 pieces, so it doesn't even add that much to the piece count.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah,
sorry, what
that's
were you
cool.
saying?
Yeah, I was just saying I liked that outer banked wave turn kind of thing over the lift hill. I kind of like felt like Zadra, where it just kind of like snaps back and forth over the lift hill. That was just really cool look.
hmm Yeah, and
We
I
got a
think
backstage area here that looks really cool.
so. Now we're just going to look at some kind of overall shots of the park, and we already took a little bit of a look at night. I can't remember if I click it tonight again. I usually tend to look at parks in the daytime unless it's unless you can tell otherwise that it's a nighttime park. 'Cause, I mean that's
Hmm.
most of the time we're at theme parks, right? But this building is really cool. There's a like to make rounded buildings in this game is not easy.
Right, right, because like the grid. I was watching a video on like how to make rounded buildings. I'm like, that's got to take forever.
Yeah, it's a lot of um, yeah, just tedious, to say the
Wow, look at
least.
that.
It's a beautiful
And you got like
building.
the balcony that's also rounded around that building. That just looks really cool.
Yeah, for sure. So what was your favorite of the coasters in the park?
That's tough. I really liked the hyper. That was just really nice. And of course the RMC, just like the structure of the RMC was just like imposing, really imposing looking. That was pretty
Mhm.
awesome. I really liked that.
Yeah, I think gosh, they're all so good. I think if you were to say the most realistic, to me, I think the most realistic one is the dive coaster,
I would
with the
agree.
elements and how it was made, and just the view of it is just everywhere in the park you can see it, and it's just beautiful. Um, I
Yeah, when you go
think.
into clip cam mode and look over the water, see the dive, that was really
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a beautiful view, which is to me what dive coasters are supposed to be. Like it's like at Cedar Point
Right.
when you see it, it's just like, gosh, this is beautiful. Like to me, that's the most beautiful area of Cedar Point is seeing how it
Hmm.
interacts with the path and stuff. Um,
Yeah,
uh,
that
um,
is really cool looking.
then
But I
I
mean, it's
think,
at Cedar Point, so it seems kind of short in comparison to like every other ride thing.
yeah, that is true. But I think my favorite ride in terms of like interaction was the Twisted Timbers. But yeah, so we got about 30 seconds left. So any final thoughts, Derek?
Yeah, I thought this was really well done. I mean, with your coaster layouts, I would just recommend like looking at real coasters, getting it like as close to realistic as you can. But I mean, it's Planet Coaster, so the coaster builder isn't like the most amazing, so you can only do so much. But overall, the scenery was absolutely amazing. I really
Mhm.
liked that. Just the overall feel of this park was really realistic, really nice. It was
Totally
very good
agree.
overall.
Well, thank you, Derek, for giving us your insight from the No Limits 2 world. And once again, check out his channel. Links below. Have a great rest of your day, everybody.